Here we go. Okay, websites. You're here because you want to make a website and you are determined to make it yourself, which is cool because that's how I was back in the day too. I was like, man, I want to learn how to do this on my own. Everyone needs a website these days, and it's like expensive to hire someone to do it. It takes a long time to figure out how to do it on your own. And so that's my goal, is to like introduce to you guys how to do this on your own and how to navigate this ridiculously intricate world of websites. And there's so much stuff out there that I've kind of digested over the last couple of years, and I want to share with you what I've learned because it took so long for me to do it that I know what you are going through. So, without further ado, let's get started. So, a little bit about me. My name is Nick Orocco. I'm a web designer and a web developer. I'm going to school right now for web development at a school called General Assembly. You could check it out. It's really cool. It's a tech school. Um, and I'm learning about the coding side of websites. I've done the web design thing where I lay out websites and structure information in a way that makes sense to the users, but I've never really learned about the back end and like how to code things from scratch. And so it's very, very new to me, and it's really exciting, but really challenging as well. If you're interested in that kind of stuff, let me know. I could point you in the right direction. I started a company called Boldly Fine, which is web design, creative design. We do podcasts. We just recorded our second episode of our first podcast, which I'll link it out later. We do graphic design, you name it. We mostly focus on websites and web apps, but we do it all. So there's just a couple of us here in LA that are working on that together, and hopefully it's going to grow more in the future. Let's talk about you. Who are you? So most of you are probably artists or small business owners. We have musicians, we got designers, photographers, filmmakers. This is just the people that have reached out to me about the webinar so far. Um, a lot of music. I love to work with musicians because I'm a musician myself. I'm a drummer, study jazz. I love to work with designers as well because I do that too. Have a couple of photographers. Like I said, Sean, he's here with us right now. He's a badass photographer in Arizona. He does it all, but I think his best stuff is like landscape photography. He takes incredible pictures. I actually did his website a while back, so you could check that out. I'll put a link on there somewhere, or maybe Sean could. Um, we have another photographer actually from Kenya, believe it or not, that's joining us right now, and his name is Marshall. So everyone say hi to Marshall from Kenya. That's pretty awesome. We have a couple other people from California, Arizona, Texas, Colorado, New York. So let's talk about what we're going to talk about. We're going to cover. I'm going to try to cover as much as I can. I'm going to try to keep it short. I want to keep it around an hour, hour and a half. That's a lot to go through in a short amount of time. So forgive me if I'm rushing through this stuff. I want to give you a broad overview about what you can do, and then later on you can reach out to me if you have specific questions, or I can do specific like webinars in the future about that uh, topic in and of itself. So first we have choosing a host. It's like there's so much crap out there about like how do I pick between WordPress and Squarespace and Wix and Weebly and who to host my domain with and then who to host my content with. And we're going to define those things later on too. I might be glossing your eyes over right now. So we'll talk about what that is and how to pick. Getting started, we're going to skim through a bunch of templates. We're going to pick the right template for you. And then getting it all set up on the back end and the front end to make it look good and make it work for your users. We're going to talk about adding content, the different kind of content blocks you can add with text and photos and video. It's amazing what you can add really easily. People think it's so hard to add this kind of stuff, and it's ridiculously easy. So you're going to be excited to see how quickly you can do that. We're going to do some basic web design 101, some user experience flow and like call to actions and how to make a good experience for your user, because that's so important when you're trying to reach an audience. You have to kind of think about who they are and what they want and give it to them and kind of keep it all clean and simple and minimal. We're going to create a cover page that's going to be like your landing page that's going to say like coming soon or under construction, or I mean, I don't like using under construction. I think that's kind of lame, but something that people can see while you're building the back end of your site. and we're going to style your website. So really the goal is to like start a website today and have it launched this weekend. So I'm going to work with a couple of you one-on-one on doing that. A couple of you already have a website, so this might be just kind of, old news to you. So bear with me while I work with the people that are starting from scratch, but you'll probably learn something along the way. But yeah, we're going to style it. We're going to add color and fonts and all that fun stuff. We're going to create a blog. There's a couple of people that hit me up about how do I create a blog? How do I publish content? It seems so difficult. It's actually ridiculously easy. I can't wait to hit that part because you will be amazed about how easy it is to blog today. We're going to create an event calendar, which literally is the exact same thing as creating a blog, actually. So that'll take 5 minutes. E-commerce, that's a big topic. I'm going to show you how to do it. Surprisingly, though, it's actually very similar to creating a blog and creating an event calendar. Um, so that's why these all kind of run together. We're going to connect your social media accounts. We're going to do Facebook and Yelp and Instagram, Twitter. I'm going to show you how to do like live feeds of Instagram so that when you post on Instagram, it goes straight to your website. When you post on Twitter, it goes straight to your website. It's the easiest way to update your website without updating your website. You just post on Instagram, you post on Twitter, and it's live, ready to go. We're going to launch that sucker today. If you're ready to go, I'm going to show you how to purchase hosting and everything. And I'm even going to throw in a discount. I have like a 20% coupon. Then we're going to do a live Q&A for whoever is here. A lot of people are watching this later on, so feel free to ask questions that you think people might want to know. I just have a couple of you with me right now, but I I will try to cater to your specific questions. By the way, I want to mention, like, before we go on to that, I'm not selling anything right now. A lot of people, when they join a webinar, they're like, all right, what's he trying to sell? What's he going to pitch me in the end? I'm not going to pitch you anything. I'm just doing this because it helps me help my clients. I have people who are asking about the basics, and I needed to record this kind of stuff um, to show them how to do this on their own. And a lot of my friends have asked me how to do this on their own, and I just want to help people out because I struggled for so long about like building a website, and I want to share with you what I've learned. I'm not selling you anything. I'm actually going to give you a discount for hosting. It's a 20% off the first year that I make no money on, but it'll hook you up with 20%. All right. So first, let's go on to choosing a host. How do you choose a host? First of all, let's talk about what the hell a host is, what a domain is, all that stuff. Basic terminology. So domain name, the basic address of your website. So www.blank.com, yourname.com. You can have different kinds of domain names such as .com, .net, .org. There's those .com names which are getting kind of popular, which is like Applebee's .restaurant, or like Sean has SeanMoore.photography. So those are getting more popular, and you can check out. There's like I think there's over 300 now of like domain extensions. I'm not totally sold on them yet, but I think they probably will start to take off down the road. It'll be like the new .com. That's a whole other topic. Okay, web host. So the domain name is by itself. The web host is who's hosting your content. So you can think about it as like the web host is like the landlord who also owns the office space that your business is renting out. Your business itself is the domain name, right? The name of your business is the domain name, but you need a place to work out of and a place to host your business and host your content. That's the web host. What's next? And then the content management system. How do you manage all of your content that the web host is hosting for you with your domain name? There's a bunch of things out there, and we're going to talk about a few of the most popular ones and which one I prefer. All right. So web hosts slash they call them registrars as well. There's hundreds of these: HostGator, GoDaddy, Bluehost. I'm not going to go through all of them. You've probably seen a couple of these before when you're looking for a domain name and you're like, how do I pick which one to use? There's no easy way to pick. You're going to decide based on the price, the ease of use, security, customer service is a big one. Load speed, not a big one. I mean, my technical friends will say, well, technically it is a big thing. But I mean, it's 2017, almost 2018. The shit's lightning faster now. And reliability. You need to make sure that your website isn't hosted by somebody really janky and it like, falls apart and then people try to go to your website to buy something and they can't even reach it because the host is screwing up. So I mean, you'll see. I used to host on GoDaddy because it's the most popular, and it seemed like the cheapest option. It was like it said 299, but then I realized like it's only 299 for the first year if you buy 5 years up front or 3 years up front, and then every year after that is like $15 or so you end up spending at least like 50, $60. Yeah, you get it for a couple of years, but that doesn't include domain privacy, which is a huge thing. Um, Domain privacy is $8 a year on GoDaddy. If you don't have it, basically anyone in the world can see all of your information, your name, your email address, your address, your phone number, because you have to register that when you buy a domain name, like legally. And if you don't buy domain privacy, people can see that. So if you are hosting on GoDaddy and you don't have domain privacy or any of these and you don't have domain privacy, buy it right now. Because I'll tell you right now, I get so many like spam calls and like spam emails from people that can see my information on the internet because I didn't buy domain privacy a long time ago. So I'll stop talking about that. Content management systems. Okay, so we have a bunch of these. We have the first that I need to mention is WordPress, right? You probably heard of WordPress before. It's a content management system that you link to your domain name and link to your host. So you're hosting your content on GoDaddy, but you're using WordPress, which is free, to update content, right? Albert asked, with Squarespace, can you buy domain privacy? Actually, it's included in all Squarespace's domain names already. And I'm gonna get to that in a second too. Thanks for asking. Um, so WordPress, why is it so huge? Well, it powers a quarter of the internet. That's pretty amazing. It's so popular. It's been around for a long time. It has hundreds of plugins. Like if you want to, you name it. Like it's open source, so like people are coding things on their own and then uploading it to WordPress, which is another factor. Is like there's some sketchy stuff out there. There's some janky stuff out there. There's some really professional stuff out there, but you're gonna have to pay for it. It's not free. Um, so it looks nice up front because it looks like it's free, but you have to buy like premium templates. To get a really nice looking template, you have to buy it. It's like 60, $70 usually for a decent one. Plugins, the good ones again are not free. The ones that are free have spam on them. They're buggy. Some are cool, but I'll move on. I think it's super difficult to learn. I think like the user interface, the UI, is really cluttered. There's like it's really hard to manage any of your content on there if you don't know what you're doing. Probably heard of Weebly and Wix. Okay, so these are drag and drop, really user friendly. It's super easy to get a site started on there. It's free as well as WordPress. It's the same kind of situation where you have to host your website through WordPress or through a host like GoDaddy, and then content management system is WordPress or Weebly or Wix. My gripes with Weebly and Wix is that I think it makes it too easy to make a bad looking site because there's not enough structure. So a lot of people make their site on Weebly and Wix and it looks really janky. Um, so if you're not a designer, I wouldn't recommend it because I don't know. I'm not crazy about the whole experience I've had with Weebly and Wix. Moves me on to my favorite, which is Squarespace. So we're gonna be strictly using Squarespace today. If you're a WordPress, Weebly, Wix, guru, and you only use these, then you might want to stop watching right now because I prefer Squarespace over all these. It's a WYSIWYG editor. What you see is what you get. So as you're editing, you can drag and drop. Like with WordPress, you have to edit on the back end and then press preview and then go check it out later on. There's a couple like ways around that, but Squarespace has the best one. You're going to see what it looks like in a second. They have amazing templates. The cons are that it can be pricey. It's definitely a little bit more expensive, but I am a firm believer in you get what you pay for. And if you can afford, between $10 to $30 a month for your website, and you want it to look professional and you want it to work really well and you want to love your life and not hate your life because you're using WordPress, I would recommend it. Plus, I'm going to give you 20% off it today. Okay, cool. So Squarespace, let's check it out. Let's look at their pricing. I know everyone's wondering exactly how much it is. So this is Squarespace. Basic their basic plans include a personal plan and a business plan. Then you have your online stores. This is $12 a month for the personal plan that comes with unlimited pages, galleries, blogs, unlimited bandwidth. Squarespace hosts their website, squarespace.com, on the same servers that their clients use. So like they trust in their product because they're hosting their own stuff on their own website. It's completely optimized for mobile, so, like, making a mobile design, which you'll see how to do in a second, is super easy, and over 60% of my visitors come from their mobile devices, so if you don't have a good-looking mobile site, good luck. Your business site, that's the next step up, so you have some, like, blocks that you're gonna see that are really cool that you can use, in the business plan, but not the personal plan, so we'll talk about which one to choose, and I actually have this link, um that I'm gonna send out to everybody about the plans and which one and like how to pick a plan because that can be a little confusing. You're most of the people watching right now, you could probably start with a personal plan and be totally fine. But I'm gonna send this out in the video. You want to check it out on your own, but it goes through like the different features in each plan. Especially the main point I want to make is that if you're selling stuff on Squarespace, you'll probably want to upgrade to a business plan or an online store plan, because first of all, when you're on the personal plan, you can't really sell anything. You have to have at least the business plan. So when you have the business plan, they take a 3% transaction fee per purchase. So when someone buys something, Squarespace is taking a 3% cut because you're using their software, however they want to justify it. That's what happens. The way out of that is if you go to the next one up, which is the online store basic plan, which is 26 a month. I'm giving you 20% off. So do the math. Um, that's how you get out of the transaction fee. So it depends on how much you project to sell per year. Like if you project to sell, if your sales are going to be over $1,000 a year, then it's definitely worth it to do the basic plan, uh, opposed to the business plan because they're taking a 3% cut. You know, it's important to do the math up front. You can always start with a business plan and then like upgrade to a basic plan. It's super easy. I'm going to show you how to do that. I haven't really seen a case that needs the advanced plan. This is for like a big e-commerce kind of stuff, because what it adds is abandoned cart recovery. So like if you're checking out from a website and you decide to bail, you can actually see that. You can see what's happening and where they're bailing, and email them and say what's going on. Real-time carrier shipping for when your products are shipping, automatic discounts if you want to make a discount for someone that they come from a certain website or during a certain time. You can also do gift cards. So during the holiday season like we just had, you can offer gift cards, which is pretty cool. You also have customer accounts. That's a new thing that Squarespace just came out with, which is really, really cool. When I say I'm a customer that keeps coming back to your website, I don't want to have to like put in my same information every time. That's what this is for. So we'll talk about that later. Let's get moving. Let's make a website. We're going to start a site from scratch, right? So let's open up a new tab. We're going to go to squarespace.com. Again, you might already have a site. Maybe it's on Squarespace. If it is, that's great. You can grab some coffee and come back in 5 minutes. If not, let's do this. I mean, you really have nothing to lose. You don't have to put a credit card in or anything. It's just ready to go. Right corner, click create a site. And what we're going to do is I have my personal website, which is nicorocco.com. You've probably seen it if you're here right now. Just redesigned it. we're going to build this thing from scratch. So I'm going to show you how I built this by building it again. Um, there's a couple fancy things like this ticker here. I'm not going to show you how to do that because that'll go into some advanced stuff. But we're going to build the basic thing, flesh it out, and hopefully you can apply that to your own website. And I can answer your questions along the road. Cool. We'll come back to that. Okay, so you start with Squarespace and it brings you to this. It says pick a template. You'll see that Squarespace has all these amazing templates that are really, really beautiful. Squarespace, I think, started for photographers. And so you're going to see that it's very photography driven. And that's important when you have your own website. If you don't have good pictures, you don't have a good website. So we'll talk about how to find good pictures if you don't have any. There's a lot of resources out there to get stock content for free. Or if you want to pay for it, you can get even better stock content. So we have all these templates, right? You might be a little overwhelmed if this is your first time seeing this and you're like, how do I pick? I would recommend just kind of going through them. You can, instead of starting with it, you can preview it. Like, okay, I have a couple, like Joe, I know is watching. He's a graphic designer and he wants to showcase his portfolio. So this is a cool one for that. It's called Jones. You can click preview and then it'll show you a preview of the website. And it'll show you kind of what you're working with the design and the layout. This is cool for graphic designers. It's all set up. You really just drag and drop your stuff. I love this like full screen grid. And then you hover over it and it says the name of the project. Let's just see the rest of the homepage, right? So then you click that project itself. It brings up a project page. I started with this one, but I didn't have enough like picture content. So I did something else. I think it's really cool though. If you have really nice pictures of your work and mock-ups, this is a great way to do it. Then at the bottom, it shows like all your other projects and stuff. Okay, so that's just one. I know there's a lot of people out there that are doing different stuff. So let me show you a couple that you might be interested in before we get into the one that I like. And you can also search. You can search for like restaurant. There's all these templates for restaurants. This one's really good. This is it's called Basil. It used to be called, I think, a Marquee. This is the first one I used for my website. This is a great one because it's got parallax scrolling, all this good stuff. So let's check this one out real quick. All right. So this what I said parallax scrolling. That's when the background, you can see the background image and the content right here move at different paces, and it looks kind of cool. It's like a 3D effect. That's very popular right now. It has this big index, right? You can click here and make a reservation. You can connect switch through Squarespace, which is super easy if you're a restaurateur. Anyways, that's one. This is another really cool one that you don't have to be a restaurant to use this one. I use this for a writer actually. Actually, I'm also using this for my buddy Jesse, who's a guitar player. You have 3 different, as many as you want, but then when you click one option, it brings up that page. Then you scroll down, you check out the content, and then when you get to the very bottom, it brings that homepage back up, which is really cool. So this is if you do a couple different things, this is a good one to showcase those different things. This one's called Tremont. I'll show you one more and then we'll dive into the actual build. Let's see. Let's do one for like an e-commerce. Let's do an online store. So over here you can see online store. By the way, you don't need to have a template. What's going on? You don't need to have a template that is like an online store template per se. You can sell anything on any Squarespace template. So just pick one that you think looks good. And it's usually easier to pick an online store if you're really trying to make an online store. So let's look for one for Emily based on selling teas. This one's kind of cool. Actually, this is like a it's called brine. I think it's kombucha or some sort of juice that they're selling in this, but actually no, let's do this one. This one's really cool. These are all in the same family, by the way. The Brine family is the newest or one of the newest, templates out there, and they have a lot of different features. So I would recommend if you're gonna do anything, pick something in the Brine family if you wanna do the new fancy stuff. So this one's really cool because it has that full screen parallax. If you have nice pictures for your products, that's a great way to go. You can see it looks like 3D, it's like floating in the background. They have this background image with text over the top, a product, you can add it to the cart, right? You wanna buy a couple of these. Quinoa and sea salt chocolate. The hell is that? Um, looks good though, right? Then you have your shopping cart up here. And this is a very standard layout of like a checkout process in Squarespace. So you have your product here, you can get rid of one, you can change the content or change the quantity. You go to checkout, and this is the global checkout on Squarespace. This is where you're going to see on every site when you go to checkout. So you're going to have your customer type in your email, right? And then you have your shipping info, which you can edit all this in the back end. And you also have, like, coupon codes once you get to the payment. I'm not gonna drag you through that right now. Anyways, that's a good one, Emily. I'd recommend that one. I'd recommend Batch or, Brine for an online store for your tea company. These are great too, though. Clay. I haven't worked with this one, but it's new. Jaunt. Anyways, just take your time to find a template that speaks to you. You know, the difference in the templates are where the navigation bar is. It's either at the top or on the left-hand side. That's a total preference thing. Um, You know, the look and the layout out of the box, that's also a good one. Let's do this. I'm gonna show you my favorite template, excuse me, that I use for all like, at least a couple of my recent sites. It's called it's called Hunter. Alright, Hunter. Let's start with Hunter. So when you pick a template, you just go start with that template. You can pick any one you want right now. Um, why don't you just pick Hunter for now so that we're looking at the same thing, and then I'll show you how to change the template after we make the basic layout. All right, cool. So you click start. It's going to ask you what your content is about. Are you a photographer? Is it a personal website? Are you a musician? Is it professional services? Right. So I'm going to do this for myself. So I'm going to pick personal slash bio and design. This is just for Squarespace. It has nothing to do with your actual site. I think they're just gathering data about who's using their product. All right, what are my goals? Okay, maybe I'll sell some physical products. I'm gonna grow, engage my audience. It's not a physical business. I want to publish content, showcase a portfolio of my work, and yeah, content. Click next. Okay, so this is the first part where you're gonna actually start adding stuff to your website. Site description. What is this? Check this out. Hope nothing embarrassing of me pops up when I Google myself. So this part right here. This is the site description, right? When you see my site on Google, that's what you're gonna see from what you type in right here on site description. You can change it later. There's a way to change it, but it's important to have it. Don't leave it blank because on Google people are going to find you and they want to have a basic description. So I'm actually just going to copy and paste that to save some time. And I'm going to mention a couple keyboard shortcuts if you're not familiar with them, just to save you some time as well. Um, I'm not sure what you're using. I'm using a MacBook Pro, so I'm going to talk MacBook. Translate it to Windows if you're a Windows person. So I'm going to Command V and click next. Okay, what's my site title? What's your site title? Your name might be your business. Type it in. Done. Cool. So this is Squarespace for those who have not seen it before. Those who have seen it before, you know how awesome it is because it's super duper simple. There's not a lot going on. It's very, very user friendly. The UX, they spent a lot of time building this thing, and that's why I love it. So what you see on the right hand side is what your audience sees. That's why they call it a WYSIWYG. right? So this is our basic template. You can kind of see the similarities, right, from the original stock version to my current site. I love this template. I think it's really classy. You can also change, like, I put my site title in the top left corner and then the menu over here. Okay, so on the left-hand side, you see a couple different things. You see pages, you see design, commerce, analytics, settings, and help. Let's check pages out. So this is where you're going to see the content of your website. Um, you're going to see that they all have this word demo next to it. You don't have to use this content, but it's helpful to start with that if you don't have really much to work with. You want to kind of fill in the blanks. So if I want to create this page and keep it, well, I'll get to that in a second. Let's look at the rest of it. We have main navigation, which is actually on this template, is over on the left-hand side. Secondary navigation, which on this template is on the right-hand side. Not every template has main and secondary navigation, so don't worry about that. Because you can reorder things around. Some of the secondary navigation is like in the footer sometimes. This actually has a footer navigation section. That's why I love this template. It's new, and so it has all these different bells and whistles that I can use. Not linked. This is kind of important. So anything that's in this section is a live page, but it's not in the main navigation up here. That's where you would put pages that you don't want in your navigation, but you still want them live. Like my website training my website training page. I have it in a not linked, and I'll show you the back end once we get to my site. But yeah, so you can look through all these. They're different icons mean different things. So this is an index, which means it's an accumulation of a bunch of different pages. So you can see it looks like one long continuous page, but it's actually just like a bunch of little pages glued together. Indexes are very common for a home page, so let's create it. So we click the gear icon, and it says modifying demo content. To edit this content, you need to create this page first. Okay, let's create it. So you got to go through that for each page. It's going to bring up like the page itself and the back end. So this is what the back end looks like. It says navigation title, which is what you see on the actual navigation bar. The page title, which is what you see up here. This is the page title. These can be different. I can make this welcome, and I can be like, hi, how are you? The description, again, this is what you see in Google. The URL slug, this is important that you keep this very consistent, because when you see a website, right? Let's go to my about, nicarocco.com/about. The way you edit that is through this, changing the URL slug. However, if you create your whole site and then you go through and you change all your URL slugs, it's going to break the links that are currently linking to that. So you're going to have to keep track of what you're linking to. And if you ever change this URL slug, you're going to have to go back and fix that yourself. That's an important point. You can make any page on your website password protected. So you could type in a password, and people can only access that if they type in this password, which is pretty cool. Really, that's literally what you do to make password protected web page. You can make your whole site password protected, which I'll show you how to do as well. Yeah. Okay. Then if you want to make this the homepage, which I definitely do, I'm going to click set as homepage, but it's already set as the homepage. So it's good to go. If you want to make your reservations page your homepage, you can do that. You just go to the edit and set to homepage. Let's create the rest of this content real quick. You know what? I'm actually going to delete all this, and I'm going to do it from scratch like I promised. So you can just delete them simply by hovering over the trash icon and clicking confirm. Be careful, because you can easily, I've done it before, worked a long time on a website and then deleted a page accidentally. It was the worst. All right, let's get rid of all this. I prefer doing this just because I've done it for a while. But again, I would highly recommend beginners to use the template pages and fill in the blanks, because it's difficult to get things to look like how you want if you don't know how to do it yet. So, but if you're doing it from scratch with me, here's how you do it. Let's click add a section. This is adding a section to the index. First, let's see actually what kind of pages you can make. So to make anything on Squarespace, You can either make a page, products. This is how you create your online store, which we're going to get to. Cover page. We're also going to get to that. A folder, which is a drop down menu. Album. I have a couple musicians out there listening right now. One guy, Alexander, he's in a band looking to make a website for his band. This is how you'd make an album page, which is pretty cool. Index, like we talked about, the squished up version of a bunch of pages together. A blog, you literally create a blog by clicking this button. That's it. Same with an event calendar. You click that button and you have an event calendar. Gallery, this is for the photographers out there, especially. Different ways to showcase the gallery. This is the best way to do it. And a link. If you want to make like a link up here, but not an actual page, you can do that through this. You can do it to an external site. You can do it to your own site. There's ways to do that. Let's just make a page. Okay. I'm going to call this intro. Right. So when you make a new page on Squarespace, they have made it very, very simple for you if you're not used to creating content from scratch, right? So maybe I want to make this like an about, right? So I click about. You can hover over. You can see all these different. You have about, contact details, features. So on the about, if I was to choose this one, it shows you that it starts with text right here, an image, and text content there with the social media button below. Maybe I want this layout right here. It makes it for you. So like if I want to start with this, I would start like this. Start editing. There's an image here. I would click add image. It would bring up my computer and I can add an image there if I want. There's the text block there already, ready to go with a header. We're going to talk about what those are. But yeah, what I want to get across is that when you're starting from scratch, use that template. Excuse me. Okay, let's go back to that intro. Okay, pick a template. I'm not going to right now. I'm going to start editing it as a blank from scratch thing. And cool. All right. All right, so I'm going to go split screen here. Just to kind of see what we're working with so I can use something on the right to design off. And for those of you, there's a couple of you out there too that said that you want to start your own business building websites. I'm going to try to cater to you as well. I'm trying to cater to everyone right now, so it's a little a little jumbled. Um, so bear with me. But when you're making your own website, or if you're designing off of something you want to take inspiration from, I like to do a split screen like this. There's a couple programs out there. This one called Magnet, which is pretty cool. It's like $1 on the App Store, and you can like snap things left and right. I know Windows does that already, so that's pretty cool. But for Mac users, I'd recommend Magnet. You can split it left and right, top and bottom, thirds, whatever. Cool. So we have this is what we're going to try to build right now, and I'm going to blast through this. So bear with me. Cool. Let's build it. So first we have this intro thing. You'll notice when the page does load, I have this fancy effect. You can see it. Almost did it. Yeah, there it is. It like fades in as you scroll to it. That's an advanced kind of thing. I'm not going to touch that. I'm just going to put the basic content there. All right, cool. So what do I have? I have one phrase that says, "Hi, I'm Nick." So I'm going to type in. And as you see, it always starts with a text block. If I didn't have that, I would add it through this. This is an important concept. How to add content on your web page. On Squarespace, you'll see these little teardrop icons pop up. You're going to click that, and it'll pull up all the different things that you can add onto your web page. Zoom in. So you can add text. Markdown is like a special language you can use to format things easily. Don't worry about that. A quote, which is great. Image, video, a spacer to add space vertical or horizontal. A line to break things up. A button. I use these a lot. Audio, right? This is for the musicians out there, the podcasters. Or maybe you just want to add your favorite song to your website. Embed, don't worry about that. Image layouts. This is pretty cool. When you add an image, you can now layer text over the top of it as a poster, to the right of it as a card with like a background color. You can overlap it and also make a background color. These are really nice ways to make elegant looking sites easily. a collage, and stack. Gallery, music, or photographers, this is you and other people too. You can make a slideshow. You can make a carousel where it's like sliding through each image automatically, a grid that you set the grid width and height. And you can also crop the images as well, and a stack, which is just the whole image stacked on top of each other. Summary block, these are really cool. They're little advanced concepts, which we're going to talk about after we do blogs. Um, but we'll come back to those. And then more stuff, a form, right? When you filled out that form to do the webinar today, that's how I made that with this. Newsletter, a map, location map, your calendar. This is for weddings. If you're making a wedding website, I use this for my wedding and it was awesome. It's like a registry thing. And Bands in Town, that's for the musicians out there. It's a great app if you don't have it yet. You can add a search box. You can add clouds. For those selling products out there, this is how you would add a product to the homepage of a page that already exists with your product. So I'm not gonna get ahead of myself. But you can, it's crazy all the stuff you can make on Squarespace really easily, like bar charts and line charts and pie charts. Kidding me? It's awesome. And then all your social media blocks. We're gonna connect our social media soon. And this is how you pull those filters or those like feeds up. Right? Okay, let's zoom back out. And okay, we're gonna add a text block. It was already there, but I want to show you how to add it. Deleting a block is as simple as clicking the trash icon. All right, so we're gonna type in hi. I am. Okay, so this is a just normal text. There's different. This is like a text editor. If you use Word, then you probably know everything that's up here, except for this. This changes the size and the dimension of the text itself. There's different heading levels. You can see heading 1 is the biggest one, heading 2 is the second biggest, heading 3 is the third biggest. There's a quote and then code. You're going to use these mostly, these 4. Heading 1, you should, a basic web design, web development thing is to only use one heading 1 per page. I've seen people that use like only heading 1s everywhere, and it confuses the hell out of Google. Google looks for that heading 1 and what is in there. So when it comes to search engine optimization, which is a whole other topic I'm not going to get into, right? You want to pop to the top of Google. It comes from a lot of different places, but there's like a hierarchy of what Google looks for first. First, they look for the site title, right? That's the most important. And then they look for the description of the site. There's stuff called metadata, which is hidden text on the page that you can add that talks to robots that like scan through your site. And you can add those keywords that you want to pop up for in there. But the keywords, you want to put those in heading 1s. Like if you want to show up for like best photographer in LA, you should probably put the word photographer as a heading 1 a lot, but don't overkill. If you put too many heading 1s, H1 headings, you can, Google actually like downgrade your site and be like, this site sucks. So don't do that. Heading 2, use those not liberally, but you can use them a little bit more than heading 1s, and heading 3s are like subsections. So I'm going to call this a heading 1 because it's the only text I have on my page. Now you can see on the right-hand side, I have this aligned to the right. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to align this to the right. You're going to see that it doesn't really move very far because the current settings of the site have like this big container around the text. So the way I'm going to fix that is by adding a spacer. I'm going to add this spacer here. And then this is another important concept, is how do you move content around the page? What you do is say I want to move this block to the left of Heimlich. I click and hold the spacer, and then I'm going to drag it around. And then you see that line that pops up. That shows you where it's going to land. So if I put it here, this whole spacer is going to sit on the width of this entire container. I'll drop it there so you can see. But like I said, there's like padding going on the design, which we're going to fix later. That makes it just small like this. But if I want to put it to the left of this, I drop it right there. If I put it here, it's below. Here it's above. Here it's to the right. When that gray box pops up, that makes the text wrap around whatever block that is. So I'm going to drop it right there. And now you can see this template is set up in a way that if you have multiple blocks that aren't just in the middle of the page, you can span the whole container. Otherwise, it wraps it in the middle. Then I can change the size. So if you hover over the middle of a block that's connecting each other, um, I can drag it to the left. I can drag it to the right. Pretty cool. So I'll put it right there. That's about right. Forgot a period. Cool. Now I'll save and boom, we're getting close, kind of. Now I have this image. How do I add the image? Well, from the home page, I'm going to click on the page that I want to edit, which is welcome. We're already there. Then I hover over and you'll see that these different options pop up. If I want to edit, like I was just doing, I click edit and that brings me into the content editor. If I want to add an image, I click banner. There's two ways to do it. You can either click banner or you can hover over the gear icon, click that, and it brings up the same like settings of the page. So I go from here, the top right corner, there's media. I click media, and that's where it brings up a thumbnail image, banner thumbnail image. I click add an image and it brings me to my computer. I have a handy dandy little folder set up for this thing. So I'm going to preview this. Yep, that's the picture I want. I don't know why I went with light bulbs. I thought it was cool. All right, it uploads the picture. Okay, cool. It's ready to go. What I want to talk about though is this focal point. The focal point is important because when I'm looking on a phone, right, it's gonna crop out everything that's not within the width of that phone. The phones are like 600 pixels wide. Um, so like if I had the focal point right here, you wouldn't see that picture at all. If I had it right here, you'd probably see the edge of it, which I think is how I have it set up because I wanted people to see the edge of the light, but also have it to the left so that my text lines up right here. So I'm gonna put the focal point right there. And that goes for any picture on Squarespace. You can set the focal point on any image like that. All right. Saved it, but it didn't show up, so let's refresh. Okay, cool. There's the picture. It's there. I want it to be a little bit wider though. So I'm going to click edit. And what I'm going to do is, because as you can see, it's only as wide as the content that I have here. So I'm going to hover over there. You can see all these different teardrops. You can see that if I clicked here, this content's going to go only below that spacer. If I click here, it's going to go all the way across the whole bottom and the top of it. That's what I want to do. I want to click that, add a spacer. I'm going to click the bottom one. I'm going to add a spacer there as well. So that gives me some padding on the top and bottom that I can drag the size of the spacer out. Try to keep it even. There we go. Cool. We're getting there, right? All right. Let's talk about how to look at it full screen, right? So on your site, you're going to see your content management system on the left. If you hover over the top left corner, we're going to click that, and then it goes full screen. And this is exactly what your users are going to see, minus this, which we'll get to. You might ask, okay, how do you see it on a phone? Hover over the top, this little arrow pops up. Click that, and then you can see you can look at it on a computer, a tablet, or a phone. That's pretty cool. So I click phone, and then it pulls up a phone like UI. So you can see that it changes, right? Squarespace automatically, no matter what device you're on, changes the version of the site. So like if I'm on a phone, I have this little hamburger icon. It brings up the menu like this. But if I'm on a computer, I have the items up here in the navigation bar. So that's how you make a mobile version of your site by it already does it for you. You can style it completely, which is another topic. But yeah, let's keep going. All right, so I have this second thing here. You probably know the drill. Click add a section, add content, intro to, start with a blank template. And I'm going to put, I like to play the drums. This is another little fancy kind of JavaScript thing, plugin that I threw in there. So don't worry about that. If you want to know how to do it, let me know. I'm floating it left. Yep. Okay, cool. And I'm going to save a step. Maybe not. Click the gear icon because I'm going to add an image to it, right? add an image, and I have intro 2 here. Takes a second to load. By the way, when you're uploading pictures on Squarespace or any website, try to keep them as lightweight as possible. Lightweight meaning the smaller the file size, the better, because that's going to mean that your site's going to load faster. We've all been to that site that takes forever to load, and it's usually because of big fat files. All right, cool. Let's do the same process, right? I want to make this. What do I want to make this? I want to make a heading 1, right? And it's okay because it's its own page. This is the only thing on the page. It's not, these aren't on the same page, right? These are separate pages that are glued to an index. I'm going to add a spacer on the top and a spacer on the bottom. And then I'm going to add one to the right as well, right? So I have a spacer here, here, and here right now. I'm going to click this one. I'm going to drag it until I see that line right next to the text. If I put it here, it's on the right side of that spacer, the text, and the bottom spacer. I want it just next to this thing. And again, you can drag it left and right, won't affect it because if I go all the way over here, it will affect it because the spacer is crunching that text all the way to the left. Okay, and I'll click save. All right, we're getting there. Got to bump these up a little bit. Any questions so far? Feel free to type them in there. I'll definitely answer them. I know this is dry, but I hope I'm not missing anything. I hope this is all pretty straightforward so far. Okay, what's next? One more of those intro banners. So this is a good opportunity to show you how to duplicate a page, right? I kind of want something very similar to this, right? Where I have a banner, I have text on the right. I don't have to do that spacer crap again. So I'm going to hover over intro. And you can do this with any page, any blog post, any event, right? You can, and any product, you can duplicate it so that you can build like you can spend a lot of time making one thing look good. And then if you want everything to look similar to that, you can pretty much just copy and paste it by doing this. You click the gear icon, click duplicate page, right? Are you sure you want to duplicate this? Yes, I do. It's going to throw it in the not linked and it's going to call it copy of whatever it is. This is important. If I leave it like this, my URL slug is going to be this page. It's going to be copy dash of dash intro, right? Or I think it makes it like intro 2. I want to make sure that it's called intro 3 on the URL slug without having to change it. So I'm going to do it from the very beginning. Intro 3. Check the, so you'll see the page itself is an exact copy of the original version. It looks weird because it's not an index. And then we go into the settings. Look, so intro 3-1. It says -1 because the original one I copied was intro-1 because I created it twice. But then I want to fix it from the very beginning. So when I link to this, if I ever do link to it, it's not broken. All right, cool. Click save. It's in not linked right now, right? It's not going to show up in my index because it's under not linked. No one can see this unless they have the link to it. I'm going to drag it up into the index, right? You can see the index is all connected right here. I'm going to delete this because I don't need it. All right. And now you'll see that the only thing in my navigation is welcome, right? Because the only item in my main navigation right here is welcome. If I want to expand it, you can expand it like that. And okay, so we have 1, 2, 3. What do I need to do? I need to change the banner image. Oh, I'm still on. That's another thing. If you're in an index, you got to make sure that you're editing the actual content of the page, not the entire index. So I have that light bulb. I'm going to remove it. I'm going to click add an image. Intro 3. That's it. Cool. Takes a second. I think this is actually kind of a big file, so I should shrink it down. But it's kind of cool. Squarespace actually creates 3 separate sizes of every image that you put on there. So it's going to load a different one for when I visit as on a phone than when I visit as a computer. All right, I'm going to edit this text. I promise we're going to get to the fun stuff, which is designing it later. So hopefully you're building your own site in the background while I'm doing this. Okay, let's call this, but mostly to build great websites, great ideas. That's a fact. I really do. Okay, you see that there's two different types of text here, right? You could probably guess what's going on. This is an H1 and this is an H2. So I'm going to click return, which by the way, this is a cool trick. If you want to do a line break and I click return, it's going to add space between here, right? And it's going to change the type. I can change whatever type I want. I can make this a heading 3, which looks the same as a heading 1 for some reason, heading 2, or again, a heading 1. But if you want to do a line break on any of your text and not skip a line, but keep it the same kind of thing that you want, you click shift return or shift enter, and then that makes a line break without that space in between. However, I can't change this now to something different because it's connected to the previous block. So I have to hit shift return instead of, or return instead of shift return to be able to change it to a heading 2. And I'm going to change these to make them look like this later. Check out a few my most recent projects. Okay, and then I have that little arrow or like the hand icon that I thought was cute. Some people might not. I like it. To add that, at least on a Mac, here's how you do it. You can go into your settings and show this keyboard display in your top deck. You click that, and then you can change what keyboard you're using. You can use Unicode hex input. The main one is the show emojis and symbols. You have to actually add the language. I'm not going to go through that. You can do it on your own. If you have issues, let me know. And then it brings up actually like every emoji that's on an iPhone, right? You can search for them. You can add these to web pages just like this. I like these arrows, right? So there's that hand icon right there. Double click it, and there it is. Pretty cool. All right, let's click save and keep going. All right, going. All right, next thing. This is kind of cool. So with this template, um, I didn't make like 3 separate images. This is actually one big gallery block. And the way that the Hunter template works, and I think any of the Brine family, so Brine, Hunter, I don't know the rest off the top of my head. You can look them up. I'll send out a link. When you add a gallery to an index, it'll make it look like this, right? So I want to add those images. I want to show you another way to add images or content. Instead of clicking you can do it like this. You can click the plus icon, add an image. It brings up this image thing. You click add an image from there. And then I click that picture. You can only do one at a time that way. That takes forever, as you can see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up my Finder. I'm going to find those images on my desktop. I'm going to grab those 3 portfolio images that I want and just drag them right over here and drop them. That's way easier, in my opinion, than doing them one at a time. Especially if you have like a gallery of like hundreds of pictures. It goes way faster. These are definitely larger. You can see they're 8 megabytes, 10 megabytes, 14 megabytes. Those are too big. I should definitely shrink those down. I was being lazy. But the way you export in Photoshop or whatever photo editing software you're using, you should export it for web, and that automatically shrinks it down as much as it can while retaining the quality. Because that's the balance that you have to go with. Is like I'm losing, I'm shrinking in size, but I'm losing in quality. You can see the bigger the picture is, the longer it takes, and it's like watching paint dry. All right, cool. So we have these gallery images loaded, and look, it pops up exactly like it looks on the current version of my site. Where it is? There's it. Okay. It's looking pretty similar, right? Except for the footer. You have these 3 different images, and it just automatically makes it look really badass like that with the big one on the left, the first one, and then 2 on the right, and you can change that, and we're gonna talk about that once we get to styling it. Um, you're gonna ask, "How do I get this text over the top of that image?" Well, I'm gonna hover in the gallery, right? I'm at the home page. I'm gonna click New Gallery. I should have named that. That was a bad convention on my part. I'm gonna double click to change the name, and we're gonna call it, Portfolio, right? But what doesn't happen? I click the gear icon, and you can see the URL slug is still New Gallery. Super important that I wanna drill down because you're gonna make your page, and then you're gonna forget that you did that, and then you're gonna change your page, and then later on, people are gonna go to your site, and they're gonna see up in this URL, they're gonna see like nicaragua.com/test example page 45792, and that's super unprofessional. So keep those URL slugs consistent. What did I call it? Portfolio. Yeah. All right. How do I add the text on top of the pictures? Here's how to do it. Hover over the specific image. You're going to click the gear icon. I'm going to change the title. Evergreen Law. He's a cannabis attorney. Pretty cool. It's huge in LA right now. All right. So website. Oh, actually, what I did is this is a little bit different. So I make the title this, and that's how this shows up. However, to make these show up, you have to add categories. And we're going to talk about that once we get to the blog and the products. But I'm going to add a category of website redesign. Hit enter, create a new category, and podcast production, right? And SEO. Click the second one accidentally. You'll see that really, really faint, but like this one's not selected. Now it's selected. Cool. So I'll save it. I'm not going to do it to the other 3 or the other 2 for sake of time. And it's not going to show up yet because I haven't set the settings to make it show up yet, but it's there and ready to go. All right. While we are here, let's mess with the footer. The footer is a site-wide attribute. There's in this template, there's 3 different blocks, right? There's the top block, the middle block, and the bottom block. So you can add, as you can see on the right-hand side, I have this in the top block, this in the middle block, this in the bottom block. Some templates only have 1 block. Some don't even have a footer. I think footers are super important to put your information down there so that when people do scroll to the end of your page, they see something and they can go somewhere, which comes to the whole UX design and call to actions, right? You want to always have somewhere for your users to go. Otherwise, they're going to have nowhere to go and then they're going to leave your website and go somewhere else, which is a total fact. All right, cool. Let's add. I'm going to add this Squarespace authorized trainer picture. And any way you add a graphic is the same way you add a picture. So this is a PNG, transparent PNG. I'm going to click image, add image. I have this authorized trainer badge.png. Bam. I could have dragged it, right? I did it this way to save some time. File name. This is a little important when it comes to SEO as well. You know, when you go to Google Images, you can like save an image and it'll download that image as a certain file name. That's how you set that. And it does help your SEO. All right. You can see that there's an empty text block. I do not want that. So I'm going to remove it. Cool. Um, However, I do want to take this opportunity to show you guys how to style this image differently. If you go to an image, let me not get ahead of myself. I hover over the image, click edit, go to design. It shows me different ways to highlight this text, right? I'm gonna say like description here. This is an inline. This is a poster. It looks like garbage, but you can see how it would work. Where you have the image and then text over the top of it, like a poster. Might look cool for something like this. You can do a card, which looks like that, where you have like the image on the left, the card on the right, which you can switch. You can go image on the right, card on the left, vice versa. It's a cool way to do like a staggered kind of thing. You can make a link to the image. Like if I click the image, it's going to bring me somewhere else. This is how you add the link to anything, by the way. I'm going to add a link, the click through URL. When I click this, where do I go? I want to set that. So I click that. And right now I'm going to do just something external. Google.com. Huge topic right here. This button. Anytime you're linking away from your website, right? If it's not internal in nicorocco.com, if I'm going to go to google.com or cnn.com or whatever, I'm always checking that, because if I'm on a website and I click that link and I go to another website and it doesn't open that in a new tab over here, I forgot about that website already and I'm on that new page. It might have to do with like me having mad ADD, but I think most people have the same issue. Like they'll go to another website and they don't have that tab open, you forget about it. But if that tab is still there, then you have a higher probability of coming back to it. Plus, it helps your SEO. The longer people are on your site, the higher your SEO score is going to be. So, general rule of thumb: if you're linking away from your site, click that "Open in New Window" button. Okay, but we can also make other things. We can make an overlap. That's pretty cool. Make it a collage, which is really pretty. It's like that, like three-dimensional kind of thing, and a stack like that. So mess with that on your own. It's kind of cool. You can actually change the link to be a button instead, and you can style all this later to make it look not like that. You can change the button text, like click me, and so on and so forth. If you do want to link to something on your page, which is probably what you're going to do most of the time, instead of external, we're going to go to content, right? And this brings up the content of my web page or my website. And I'm going to find any of these pages, right? Remember we made intro and intro 2 and intro 3, and then this index. I'm going to link to that. Even though I'm on the homepage already, if I'm on a different page and I click that, it's going to bring me back to the homepage, the index. Another cool thing a lot of you might want to do is like create a way for people to download files from your website. Like I had a couple friends who are in the music community who use their site for like educational resources, and they want to upload a PDF and they want people to download that PDF or download a file. It's really simple. All you do is make a button or a link or whatever, and then you go to click through URL, click files, add a file. It's going to bring up your computer. You upload that file, and then when I click that button, people are going to download it. I won't prove it to you, but I guarantee you it works like that. And then it'll actually save that file if you want to do it somewhere else. So it's actually hosted on Squarespace right now. All right, we'll cancel out of that and discard the changes. Now, another important topic. I know we're going through the basics still. Say I mess this up. Say if like I've been working on this for like 15 minutes and I made it look terrible and there's a previous version that looked way better. If I click save, there's no way to go back to that old version. It's completely lost. It's going to save this, and that's what you have. And then that when you click save, that's what your users are going to see straight up. If it's live and it's ready to go, that's what they're going to see. If you click cancel, it would discard the changes that I made and go back to the previous version, which is just this. I don't want to do that, so I'm going to click. Are you sure you want to cancel? No, I'm not. I want to save it. I don't want this description though. Bam. Cool. We got that. Now let's edit this middle block. This is kind of cool way to show like your social media instead of the buttons, which is kind of what everyone does. I'm going to delete that. I guess I could have used it, but I didn't. There we go. I'm going to click text. Let me make your next website. I'm going to center it. I'm going to hit return or return again. See how they have that space top and bottom as opposed to shift return, which brings it right there. Go return and let me teach you how to make your own. What I would do is hover over this, like highlight the entire thing that you want to be a link, click link, and it brings up this link. All right, let's get this moving. Right now, I'm going to add a temporary link. The way to do that is to add just a hash icon and click the dollar sign. Not a dollar sign. There we go. And you can see that it turns it into a link, but it won't take it anywhere. It's just a temporary link. Bam. All right, so we got our basic thing. Now we have this social media thing. This is a good time to talk about how to link social media. A lot of people are here for this. So right now we're on our pages, right? Let's click the top left corner where it says home. It's going to bring us back to pages, design, commerce, analytics, settings. Go to settings. This brings up all your different settings on your website. There's a lot here that I'm not going to cover. Please dive in and check these out. I'll cover these in a more advanced video, but one of the most common things is this right here, connected accounts. So under settings, not general, but website, connected accounts, you click that. That brings up your social media station. Click connect account, and that brings up all these different social media platforms that you can add. I'm going to add the most popular, which is Facebook. I'm already logged into Facebook, so it's going to log me in already. Have my password saved, right? It's ready to go. That's it. That's all you do. It's pretty amazing how simple it is. Some people have like a Facebook page for their business. I definitely do. I have a couple. You can link just a Facebook page, but you have to connect it to a personal account. So even though my personal account is connected right now, it's going to push to my business page. You also have to replace this profile URL. Otherwise, it's still going to go to this. So I'm going to go to my business page, copy and paste the URL into here. Some people don't know why they push it to this, but for some reason it still goes to their personal page. It's because of this. So fix that. And yeah, this is going to be important down the road when I want to connect my blog. I can actually post to Facebook, to Tumblr, to LinkedIn from my blog, from my event pages, all within one click if this stuff is connected, right? Let's add one more. Let's add Instagram. That's not the right one. If I remember my password. Twitter. I'm not a big Twitter user, but it's important. And I should probably use it more. It's right here. But I know a lot of my clients and a lot of people I talk to are Twitter users, and so they wanted to know how to add their Twitter feed as well as their Instagram feed. So it brings up all these options. You can show the social icon. Let's add it first before we mess with any of this so you can see what it looks like. So if you're not already logged in, you would click connect account, you would click Twitter. It would bring up uh, the Twitter window, and you would add your login information. Go back to settings. Now I'm going to, well, first I'm going to add the social buttons. Now that I have all three of those set up that I wanted, I'm going to add the social buttons to the footer and complete my footer out. See what it looks like over here. Okay, so this is what I'm trying to make. So I'm going to write some text in here. I'm going to say, let's be friends. Cool. Center that up. We're going to change that to an H3, right? H3 looks like this. For some reason, the H3 in this template is larger than the H2, but we can change that easily, and we're going to get to that in the design portion. But right now I'm going to add, so below the text is our social blocks. I'm going to click that teardrop icon. I'm going to scroll all the way down. Under social blocks, you see social links. I click that, and it brings up our social links. Can't see them, so let's add some color to it real quick. These are your options. First, I'm going to go with color. I'm going to go light. You could choose the standard color. That shows the actual colors from the programs themselves, or the social media accounts themselves. I'm going to go with light, so it sticks with that black and white color scheme. But I can change everything. I can change the size of it. Right now it's extra small. We got small, medium, large, and extra large. Let's stick with that so you can see it nicely on the screen. And then the style, we can make it a circle. We can make it a square, or we can make it a rounded square. And then we can also choose to make it either the same three selections with a solid background, with a border, or with a knockout, which basically pulls the color from the background. Right now it's black, so it's going to look the same no matter what. Let's change it to regular. Let's keep it like it is over here. And then, yeah, you can change the alignment to left or center or right. Mine is centered, so I will keep it centered. Let's apply that change and click save. All right, cool. Now that we have the social buttons added, I'm going to create my about page, right? On my main website, my about page is pretty basic. I don't have too much going on there, but I'm going to add these basic blocks minus the banner. And then, yeah, let's do it. So I'm going to click the plus icon under main navigation. I'm going to add a new page. And this page is called About. My Canadian friends call it About. We're going to use these layouts, these starter layouts, because these are really sweet. There's 3 different About layouts. This one's pretty similar to what I'm trying to do. So I'm going to pick that. And I'm going to click Start Editing. That opens up the editor. I have the image over here on the left. I'm going to add an image. I have it all set up, ready to go. So let's find, where did I put it? There it is. My bio picture. It will add that now. It's a shot from my wedding in October. That was pretty cool. I got fancy on Photoshop with it. Looks kind of Tarantino-y. Okay, yeah. And then I'm gonna get rid of this because I don't need this. That when I did that, I deleted everything and then it pushed it up to the top where there was an H1. I don't want that. I want that to be normal. So I'm gonna scroll up and call this normal. There we go. Go over to my other page, copy this text, my bio, and paste it. Here's a good point though. I want to mention when I'm copying and pasting text from somewhere else, especially if you pull it from Microsoft Word, it's going to pull the style that's on there with it. And so you want to strip all the styles from wherever you're copying and pasting it before you paste it. Otherwise, it's going to look funky. So there's 2 ways to do it. First way is like I did, where I copied it and pasted it into here. And then up here, there's this little icon with a slash through it. That's called remove format. If I click that, it will remove all the format from my text. My text didn't have any format to begin with, so it's okay. But another way to do it is like this. Before I paste it, I'm going to click this clipboard icon that says paste as plain text. Click that. That brings this up. Paste my text in here. Click OK, and then it pastes it without any styles to it. You can see that there were links. Now there's not any links. So if you have any issues copying and pasting, I would recommend using these 2 buttons. All right, cool. How do I get this image to wrap, for the text to wrap around this image? I can do it like this. I can grab the image itself, hover. I'm going to bring it over until you see that gray box. When you see that gray box, that means that it's going to live right there and the text is going to wrap around it just like it looks. So I'm going to drop it there. And it doesn't look like that now because I have that weird border, or like the margin setting on this template. So easy fix. I'm going to throw in 2 spacers, one on the left and one on the right. And you can see that that fixed it. I'm going to close it up. There we go. So now I have an image with text wrapping around it. It's kind of cropped funky just from the template. But there we go. That's pretty close. Sweet. All right, below that, I'm going to add a line. This is a technique I use a lot. When I know I want to break up sections, I might not keep this line, but it breaks things up for me. Second thought, I'm not going to use that because, again, that margin issue. Next topic I wanted to cover real quick was the adding social media feeds. So let's add an Instagram feed. It's ridiculously easy, actually. So we click the teardrop icon, which brings up the different types of blocks we can add. Scroll all the way to the bottom where you see social blocks. Hover over Instagram and click. And then that pulls my Instagram account, my personal Instagram account, because I just linked it before. You can connect multiple accounts. I just have one right now for my personal profile. I also have business accounts, but like I'm just using this for myself now. So I could connect multiple accounts if I'd like. Then let's go over to design. I can show you how many, I can decide how many items I'd like to show. So right now I want to set it to 12. I could go maybe 16, I could go 8, whatever you want. You could go 2 or 1. I like keeping it even, especially because on a mobile device, this is going to go into blocks of 2. And then if it was odd, it would be 2, 2, 2, 2, 1. And I don't like that. All right. So let's go to the design. So this brings up a point that I haven't gotten to yet, which is styling galleries. Now, the Instagram block is a gallery. Just like if I was to add a picture gallery or photo gallery or video gallery, you can style them all to be these different settings like this. So I have a slideshow. In the slideshow, you can see makes one big image with the thumbnail images below it. I can add show next and previous controls. And then I can also select this option here, which makes it automatically transition between the slides. I think it's kind of annoying. I don't really use that very often, but it's a cool tool if that's something you're looking for. I can set the height. I'm gonna see again. It's already annoying me. I'm gonna set the thumbnail height. You can see that strip down here get bigger and smaller, and that's affected by this right here. And then this gap, right? This gap between the main slideshow and the strip here, you can minimize that. You can make it to 0. You can add a bunch of padding to it. It's totally up to you. This is for the description. So it's going to show when I hover over this, it's going to show it if I were to save. All right. Other design options you have is a carousel. So same boat as the slideshow. Um, it's going to create a big strip that is invisible behind this. It keeps going to the right. Now, if I click automatically transition, you're going to see it start to slide to the right. I can add those previous and next controls, which don't do much when you have this selected as well. So be careful with that. Then you have your active alignment. Let's uncheck that. Right now, my active alignment is center. So you can see that this is the picture that we're looking at right now of our alternative Christmas tree, which is a cat tree. And then the previous picture and the next picture to the right and left. But I can set it to left so that the main focus is on the left-hand side. So I'm looking at this picture. Now I'm looking at this picture. Now I'm looking at this picture and so on. You can also do it to the right, which is a little bit weird. Like the picture's here now and it's here. It looks a little bit different if you like resize this like this. There you go. Cool. So that's the slideshow, or sorry, the carousel. The grid is the first one that we saw. You can set that grid to be anything you'd like. I don't know why it's not pulling up. Set it to grid. You could set it to stacked. That stacked makes them the full image one on top of each other. And then you can also choose to show the description or not. Okay, let's go back to grid, and I want to show you a really cool feature that you might use if you have a business or like an event or a band or something that utilizes hashtags. If I click this search, right, this search button, what I can do is I can literally search through all of Instagram for the most recent posts about any hashtag. Let's do something fun. Let's do hashtag cats. Yeah, that'll work. Or hashtag crazy cats, even crazier. Click apply. It's going to take a second to load because it's searching through the entirety of Instagram at the moment, and it's going to pull the most recent posts. So think about how you might be able to apply that to your own website. Maybe you have a business, maybe you have like a sale going on and you do a special hashtag for that sale, like hashtag Christmas sale 2017. You're going to have to make it pretty unique because I mean, it's going to pull through all of Instagram, and Christmas sale 2017 is probably pretty popular. Like I typed in crazy cats and all these showed up, and they're probably all from like the last 10 minutes. So think about making like a custom hashtag. I had an event that I made a website for called the Arcadia Symposium, and they made a custom hashtag for it, and they told the kids at the symposium to post about it and hashtag this, and that way they could go to the website and you could see all the people that have posted that hashtag. So it's kind of cool way to like drive traffic to your website. All right, cool. We got our cat Instagram feed. Let's add our Twitter feed. I'm sure you could probably figure out how to do this by now. We add the content. We scroll to the bottom under social blocks. We look for Twitter. There's Twitter. Click that, and you can see it adds a Twitter feed right here. I haven't used Twitter in a long time, so don't judge me. Let's go with 13 items. You can use the same thing. You can do search. I search here, so I can search through all of Twitter for a crazy hashtag like 2017. Fills. All right. Let's see what happens. I'm a little scared to see what pulls up. Okay. So you can see all the random people in the world that have hashtagged 2017 fails on Twitter, and it pulls directly to my website. So you can, I mean, be creative and use this to your advantage somehow. Um, I'm going to do it to my own Twitter feed for now because it's probably more relevant to my audience. And I'm going to add a follow button. That adds a button right down here that says follow me. Unfortunately, there's not a button like that for Instagram, but it's easy to add a button. I'll show you how to do that real quick. Hover over the teardrop. I'm going to add a basic block, which is a button that pulls the button right here. And I'm going to go follow. I like to do this at my handle. And then I would add the click through URL, which would be instagram.com/Nicarocco. Again, my rule of thumb, whenever I'm pointing to an external link, I'm going to click this open new window, and let's see what happens. Follow Nicarocco, hopefully goes to Instagram, goes to my profile. There we go. It's in a new tab. It's right here, right? My website is still open. If I wasn't to do that, this would not be there, and I would have to go back, which a lot of people don't do because they get stuck in Instagram. I might get stuck in Instagram here for a while, but I'm going to eventually exit out of this and I'm back to my website. So it keeps people on your page longer. It keeps your audience engaged, and it's just kind of generous to the user because they're probably going to want to come back to your site. All right. Let's create a contact page, right? That's the next thing I have. Contact. We're going to get into blogs and events and products next. So let's do that. We're going to add a page. We're going to call it contact. I'm going to definitely pull one of these contact layouts because contact pages are usually one of these 3 layouts. Let's pick this one. But you can see there's 3 different kinds to choose from, or you can make your own. Let's start with this one. So what's unique about this is it pulls up a nice like map. So if you're a physical brick and mortar business, this would definitely be a must for you on your contact page because people want to know how to get to your store. So you would add your address here, but then more importantly, you would add the map block. And so to edit that, we hover over edit, which by the way, it's in there. You can add that a la carte to any page. You scroll down to more and there's map right there. So let's just use the one that's already there. We click edit. I'm going to type in my business name of store. And the address is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's see what pops up. So this is linked to Google automatically. I can start to type in an address, and Google's gonna search the Google Maps database and come up with actual addresses. So there's my address. Perfect. I'm gonna change the design of it. That's really easy too. I can show it as grayscale. I can show it as a satellite view. I can show it as the OG Google Maps view, which is preferred for me. The minimal light is kind of cool. Minimal dark, also cool, and minimal blue. Then we can show the terrain if we'd like, and we can show controls so that people can zoom in, zoom out. Pretty straightforward, but a definite must for businesses that have a actual physical location. Okay, so now let's talk about forms. This is a big one, right? Why are forms important? Because it is the best way to gather information from your user. And you can create forms that are small like this, where you have just their name, their email address, their a subject and a message, pretty standard. Or you can create very intricate uh, forms. And I'll show you how I've applied those in a couple different sites later on. Let's first look. Let's go with an example. First one, which was one that many of you filled out about this webinar and how what kind of information I wanted to get from you. So the way I built that was through this exact block. So this one's already created, but if you're going to create a new form, you can click the teardrop icon, as you know, to add content. And then I'm going to click under more, there's this form button. Click form, and that pulls up a new form, and it automatically calls itself new form, properly so. It automatically adds a name, email address, subject, and message. Those are the basic forms. That's like 90% of the reason you're going to use forms was for the contact page and getting, you know, interested people to get in touch with you. But there's so much more you can do with it. So let's look at a couple of those. We're going to go through all these. So first, I'm going to zoom in here so you can see all these a little bit more clear. So we have text. Text is just a line of text. For example, I said like something else. What did I miss? In this form, you can fill out a bunch of text, right? Area is the same thing, just a lot larger when you expect someone to type more than just one line, right? So I'm going to type like, this is text. Copy and paste it. Paste that to speed it up, right? So I can make a big block like this. Doesn't look so good when you put it into here because it just goes in a straight line. The user can also resize that window, which is kind of cool like this. Selection is when you have multiple choices and you want to have them drop it down instead of, this is another way to do it the uh, with the checkbox or the radio button. I prefer this because it saves vertical space. So you can create that by clicking. I'll show you how to create each one in a second. Um, but let's just talk about what everything is first. Checkbox, that's where you can select multiple options, right? Where you want to allow the user to select multiple things. Then there's the radio button, which is you can only choose one or the other, right? But you can do multiple. I could do 15 radio buttons and you can only pick one. But I wouldn't prefer that way. I would definitely prefer this way. Radio button is good, I think, for one or two or three things. Survey, that's where you can have someone rate something from a scale from 0 to 5. I haven't used it too much, but I probably should. Name, that's where you actually pull someone's name. So instead of using it, you could use a text field, but I would recommend using the conventional name box, and that'll pull up a first and last name box. Then we have email. The email button will add an email field, and it has to be an actual email. You can't just go la la la, right? You have to do something at something.com. Otherwise, it knows that it's not a valid email address. So it saves you from the hackers. You can add a website, like I had some people add here. A date, that's kind of cool. Time, phone number, a number. These are both integers, a number and currency. A line where you want to break up the sections, and then hidden, which is, don't worry about that. That's like meta stuff. All right. So, adding these, if you're going to zoom out, there we go. So all these are very straightforward, but I'll show you like the selection. So let's add a select. We go select something. Okay. Then we add a description. Description. Description here. And that shows below the question is a description, right? So I have a description below here, below this question. It's a little bit smaller, a little bit fainter, but it's good to kind of describe your question if you need to add more clarification. Then you can add a bunch of different options, right? So I'm going to add another option, right? And then that you can add as many as you like, and they all live inside of here, and they have to select one. Then you can choose whether it's required or not, and you can do that on any field. Keep in mind, the more fields that you require your user to fill out, the less likely they're going to complete that form because it takes longer and they get annoyed. So try to keep it, short and simple. If not, then just don't make everything required, right? All right, a couple others you can add. The radio button is the same exact way. You add a bunch of options and then it'll display it as radio buttons. The date, the password's kind of cool too if you want to like get a password from them. I don't know why. I have never used that, but I would love to know like why someone would want to use it. The date is great because you can get like I use this for like, do you have an idea of when you need your website complete by? Then they'll put the date in there. Um, and it also makes it more convenient for them to fill out, right? Sometimes you don't know how you want it to be displayed. And right here it says month, date, year, year. Currency and a number, phone number, right? It's an actual phone number. It has to be a phone number. You can also choose to show the country code or not. I do not typically do that. You can get an address. It has to be an actual address where it shows address field 1, 2, city, state, zip, and country. And yeah, that's pretty much all of them. You can even get their Twitter handle. Like the possibilities are endless and what you want to get from them. So now how do you get this information once they fill it out? All right. So we just created this form for people to do. We go to storage. This shows where the email is going to be sent. The email is going to be sent to nick@boldlyfine.com, right? Cool. That's great. When they fill that out, I'm going to get an email. You can take it a step further, though. You can take it 2 steps further. You can connect this to Google Drive. So I'm going to show you how that works real quick. When I click Google Drive, it's going to pull up a Google Drive window. It's going to ask me to connect to my email address. I'm going to choose my email address, and it's going to ask me to allow permission. I will allow it. Now it's connected. All right. It has to be a Google account. Can't be anything else. So I'm going to connect that and I'm going to create a spreadsheet straight from Squarespace. I don't need to go into Google Drive and create a spreadsheet and then link the two. It does it for you. I love Squarespace for this reason. So let's call this spreadsheet test spreadsheet with a bunch of exclamation marks, right? Okay. And then I click apply. Now what just happened is in Google Drive, and I'm going to show it to you, it created a spreadsheet with all of these fields as columns. And every time someone submits, it puts that in one row, organized out. So if you're going to have a huge form like this, and you're going to have a database where you want to like have people register for something like we did for this, then that's an amazing way to do it because I have it all in one place. I can highlight all of the emails in one click and copy it into an email. But taking it a step further from that, if there's any people out there that know about email campaigns, then you probably have heard about MailChimp before. MailChimp is great. I highly recommend it. I don't use it too much personally. I'm going to get into it more. But if you're creating an email campaign and you're looking to do it, I would highly recommend choosing MailChimp over something like Constant Contact or ConvertKit, some of the others. This one's great. And it's connected to Squarespace. So like you can connect it to all your forms, you can connect it to your Google Drive. It's all automated together. So I'm not going to get into that in this video, but I would highly recommend checking it out. Couple more features I want to show you about. If I wanted to change before I show you the Google Drive at least, um, if you wanted to change that submit button, you can change it to anything you want, like send your info, right? I can change it to that. It will change that once I click save. I can align that button center or right. I'll leave it at center. And then this is a very important field that a lot of people skim over and I think is lazy, but adds a lot of value to the user experience. So I fill out this form, right? If I was just to leave this, the form would, once I click submit, it would disappear. And this is what pops up, the post submit message. So what do you want to say to your users after they fill out that form? They spent a lot of time filling it out. You want to say something like, thank you for taking the time to fill out this form. And then new line, for more information, visit. And then I'm going to add like a link. Right now I'm going to go to google.com. Highlight this, link it. It's just like the text editor, right? Google.com. In a new window, right? And I'm gonna click apply. This post submit HTML, this is more for if you want to direct someone to a specific page right after they hit click. It's a good way to do like multiple stage submissions. Like, okay, I fill out part one and then click that, and then it goes to part two. It's a little bit more advanced, so hit me up if you want to know how to do that. Lightbox mode. If this is a really ridiculously long form, I can shrink it up by going into lightbox mode, and now it's just in a button. So check this out. And I can even label this at whatever I want. Open up this form. Click apply. Right? So I did a couple things there. I changed the post submit message. I changed it to a lightbox. When I click this button, it's going to pull up a form. That's the form that I created. It looks a lot more elegant than on the page itself, and it declutters the page. So let's fill it out real quick. Okay, so my name is Joe Schmo. My email is joe@schmo.com. Subject, hello. Message, hello, with a bunch of O's. Select this option. I'm gonna do one radio button, right? If I try to select this, it toggles between the two. My password is at, and the date, whatever I'm asking. And let's go with phone number, a bunch of fives. My address, 12345 Test Street. And that's Test, California, 12345. And the country. Check this out. I'm gonna make an error on purpose. I'm gonna do 123. And the country is US. Send your info. It's gonna I thought it would auto validate that. Never mind. I thought that it would see that there was an error on the zip code. I think something's going on with the addresses though right now. Okay, so in the top right corner, you see I just got an email to my nick@boldlyfine.com because I linked it to that, right? And it shows that entire form filled out right here. So I could print that out. I could forward it. I can see what's going on. Okay, this guy's name is Joe Schmo. His email address is Joe Schmo, etc. Right? And so now I have a database of all these submissions in my email inbox, right? And look what pops up. Thank you for taking the time to fill out this form. For more information, visit google.com. I click it, opens up a new window, and I'm in a new window. So if I didn't do that, it would say thank you. And as the user, I'd be like, okay, I guess exit out and do it again. I don't know. So, direct the user to the next page. Where do you want them to go after that? So let's check out how it all ties together. Let's go to Google Drive. We open up Google Drive. Should have a new form here called test form or test spreadsheet, right? There it is. Bam. And that's exactly as I typed into Squarespace. It created it for me. I didn't go to Google Drive and create this earlier. I created this from Squarespace, and now it exists in my Google Drive. And you can do that with unlimited forms. I can resize this, make it look good, right? And look, I have one submission, right? Joe Schmo with all these different data points. So I like to do this kind of stuff. I like to select this row, make this bold. I'm going to freeze that one row so that when I scroll down for my hundreds and hundreds of submissions, yeah, right. Um, it'll keep this top box here and I know what I'm looking at. I also want to freeze these two columns so that when I scroll to the right, I know, okay, I'm looking at Joe Schmo still, and his password is this, and his date was this, and his phone number is this. Otherwise, I'd be like scrolling all the way over, and I might be on, cell 18, and I don't know whose this is. I like to freeze these up. I think it's kind of nice. You can change the style. You can add zebra stripes, whatever. Yeah. If you want to know more about that, let me know. I love this kind of stuff. I think this is like one of the coolest features of Squarespace, honestly, especially when you're linking important data that you're gathering from your users. Like, why wouldn't you use this? All right, sweet. Think I've drilled into that enough. Let's dive into blogs. Now, I'm definitely gonna drill down on blogs right now, and I'll tell you why. Because I think blogs are the number one way to drive traffic to your website, right? It's so important. But not only that, the system and how they've created blogs in Squarespace is genius because it parallels the event calendar and it parallels the products completely. So if you know how to make a blog and a new post on the blog, then you're going to know how to create a new event, create an event calendar, and you're going to know how to create an online store. Basically, I'll hit that in a minute. Okay, so let's create a blog. It's as easy as clicking that button. Wow, I have a blog now. I'm going to call it blog. You can call it whatever you want. Maybe journal or let's call it news. On news today. Right, sweet. So this is your blog. On the left-hand side, you're going to see the lack of items. Let's add a couple items. Okay. So to add a new blog post, you're going to click that plus icon in the top right corner of the content management system. And that brings up edit post. This is how you're going to add a blog post. So to do that, I'm going to add a title and I'm going to say news item one or one, right? Grab some text. This is a little web design trick. This is a cool plugin called Lorem Ipsum. And Lorem Ipsum is kind of like dummy placeholder text in Latin. So it's just gibberish. So I know that that's a block of text, but it doesn't say anything. Let's add an image. Cool. I got my image there. I'm going to have the text wrap around it. Remember how I showed you that earlier? Just drop it right there. And yeah, that's enough. All right, cool. So what are the different things that I can do to a blog post? Well, there's two things right here that are super important. Categories and tags. I'll explain why they're important in a minute. Okay, so let's talk about the different kind of things that I might be blogging about, or different news items, right? This is called news. So let's create a new category. News. Let's call this politics. Maybe science, my favorite, or sports. You get the picture. Let's just pick one of them. This is about sports. And in this post, I talk about baseball. So tags. So categories are the general category that your post is about. Limit it to 2, maybe 3. I would choose 1, right? If you can narrow it down to 1 thing, that's always better. If it's kind of about 2 things, then that's okay. 3 starts to get cluttered, so don't do more than that. Tags is where you're going to add a bunch of stuff. You can add, this is like adding a hashtag on Instagram, right? So I'm going to add, like in this post, I talk about sports. So in this post, I talk about baseball, comma, adds it. I talk about tennis, comma, adds it. Football, comma, adds it. Chess, it's a sport. Look it up. Marching band, while we're at it, that's a sport too. What else? What else? I also talked about field. Or no, let's just do regular hockey. Bam. Okay. So those are all the things I talked about in the post. You might put something like say if you're doing travel, right? talk about the cities that you went to in that travel blog. What it's going to do is that these words now exist on the internet, and Google is going to see that, and it's going to see those words. So the more often you use these tags, it's going to see your blog and see, oh, this person is talking a lot about X, Y, and Z. Let's point, this person's search to that website because there's 25 posts about that. Obviously, the title is the most important when it comes to SEO, then the category, then the tag, but it all works. And the content, obviously. Cool. All right, this part, comments. You can change the comments to be on or the comments to be off. You can always allow them to be disabled completely. But it's a good way to get, conversation started. This is the next coolest part. So I think this is probably the coolest part about the blogs on Squarespace. I can choose to save this as a draft, right? I'm not ready to post this thing yet. I'm still working on it. I'm going to hit save. Then maybe I come back to it the next day, edit. If I hit that save and publish, it's going live. When you see that word publish, it's live and it's on your website. Okay, I'm ready to have this reviewed. You can have like multiple people join as collaborators on your website, and you can have them work together to create content. Maybe that there's one person that's the editor and one's the content writer and one's like the chief editor, whatever. You can have a bunch of people write and then one person review it. So the content writer saves it as this, needs review, and then it's going to actually notify the person that we set as the editor to review it and then publish it on their own. I'm not going to get into how to do that. If you're interested, let me know. Then we can do it as a schedule. This is so cool. So like I could create 15 blog posts and then have them scheduled to be posted one per day for the next 2 weeks while I sit on the beach. So I could spend a Sunday making a bunch of content, and then I'm going to schedule this. This is going to be posted tomorrow at 3:20 p.m. Right? And then I make another one. And I'm going to schedule that one to be Tuesday or whenever, right? So if I click save, then it's going to publish that at this time, no matter what, no matter where I'm at, automatically. Pretty awesome stuff. All right, let's go up to the options. Let's see what else we need to add here into a blog post. And again, don't leave any of this stuff blank. Use everything that you have here to your advantage because it's there for a reason. Thumbnail image. This is really important because this is going to be what your users see besides the text. You need to add some sort of image associated with it, right? Excerpt. This is an excerpt. I'll show you where that shows up in a second. Keep it to a couple sentences. You can change the author, right? I told you earlier you can add authors, and so I can change this from one person to another. Maybe if you want to say someone else wrote something, you can change that there because you can see who the author was in the post. Source URL. So say if I'm reposting content from CNN, right? I'll be like, this is from CNN.com, by the way. And then what else we got? You can change the URL, right? I can change this automatically. It sets it as new nickarocco.com/news, the name of the blog, right? /2017/12/30 when I made it. But you can change that in the back end in the settings. And then you can change this. It automatically takes the name of the title, right? News item 1. Post URL, news item 1. Keep in mind, if you change this and you have other things linking to it, it's going to break it. Location. Say if this is about an event, I'll probably want to put the location on there. Same thing, right? This is an automatic lookup from Google. So say if this is at 12345 Ventura Boulevard, it looks it up for you and it throws a pin right there. Here's the absolute coolest part. And remember, this is not just for blog posts. This is for events. This is for products. Whenever I want to share a new piece of content, whether it's a blog post, an event, or a product. Again, I'm sorry I'm drilling it down, but it's super important to get the fundamentals. I can blast this out to Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Tumblr, whatever I want. And you can do that just by flipping this switch on, flipping that switch on. And now you'll see here, this is the example of what's going to post. Now, you can use these different conventions that you can see over here with the formatting, right? You have %T, %A, %U, and if you do that, it's going to take it's automatically going to take the actual title of the post. %A is the author of the post, %U is the URL of the post. So watch this. So I'm going to go, hey, check out my newest post. Percent T, %A, %U. This is what's going to go on Facebook without me even going to facebook.com. I click publish and this is going live. Hey, check out my newest blog post. It's called New Post Title by Nick Aroko. And here's the link. Just by doing these 3 things. Isn't that pretty cool? It'll do the same thing on Twitter as well. So and you can set these up to like post in a certain way so you don't have to do this every single time. But I think it is so useful because you don't spend time going like creating your post, getting a link, going to Facebook, copy and pasting the link into Facebook, creating a post, then going to Twitter, doing the same process. It's so overwhelmingly like monotonous that you could do it in one like take right from here. So save yourself some time. Get used to it and you will thank me later. Thank Squarespace later, really. I'm not going to post that right now because it would literally go to my feed and it's a garbage nonsense blog post. So, but let's save it, right? But let's publish it right now. It's scheduled for tomorrow. Remember that? I'm going to go to published. It's published now. And I can even change that to publish it in the past if I'd like. So there's our blog item right here. You got the thumbnail image, we have the title, um we have the date it was posted, and then the excerpt. Remember that excerpt where I said it was going to come in later? That's where this shows up. And then a read more link. You can change all of this in the style editor, which I'm going to talk about later, but don't get too bent out of shape on it right now. Just kind of use it as it is if this is your first time doing it. Now check this out. What I like to do is create a blog post that's really, really good. Like it's detailed, it has buttons, it has pictures, it has like text, it's all laid out nicely with headers, right? I would use some headers here. I would go, right, here's my first header, and I would change that to a H2. And then I would have another subheader down here, and I would change that to an H3, right? Take your time to really make this look perfect, save it, and then once you have your template, that's what you're going to use, and you're going to duplicate that baby. So you don't have to do it over and over and over and over and over. You just click duplicate, and bam, you have a copy of that blog post exactly as it is. All you got to do is change the title. News item 2. So now we have news item 2 with a thumbnail image, and I can change that image because it's something different, right? So let's change it to, I can change it to this. Let's do it to my cover page thing. Maybe it's a different author. It's probably a different source, right? Google.com. And there we go. Save and publish, ready to go. And when I refresh, it will show up. Sweet, there it is. I got news item 1, news item 2. Again, why I like the Hunter template is because this looks weird. Again, it's that content inset, which I would fix later. Yeah, I really don't like that that's the main setting. But besides that, it's kind of cool because down at the bottom of the blog, I have a next item. So I can see what's the next blog post. And it keeps your user engaged. They read the first item, then they get to the bottom, they throw a couple comments down there, and then they see what's next or previous. You can change the settings of that and the colors as well. All right, awesome. So you've created a blog and you're ready to go. You're ready to create more content. You can change some settings in there up here. How many posts per page, the description of your blog. You can even link, like, you can syndicate it so that you can link it to RSS feeds like Apple News. You can make it a podcast. That's how you make a podcast, is by making a blog first, setting it up as a podcast like this, and then adding audio and it automatically syndicates it when you have it submitted to uh, Apple. You can also manage your categories and tags from here. Like I added baseball and chess and football, hockey, marching band, and tennis in my categories as well. I can delete those. I can rename them. That's where you would do it from here. What else we have? Yeah, there's a bunch of features. You can mess around with these. Okay, how does this translate to creating an event calendar? You're gonna laugh because it's the exact same thing. I click events. I call it events, and it pulls up a new events page, right? Now, I want to create a new event. I click the plus icon, just like the blog. That brings up this page right here. Okay, I want to call this event number 1. And I'm going to add a little bit of lorem ipsum to it, like I said before. And I'm gonna add a button to link to tickets. Okay, so add the button. I'm gonna say tickets here. No exclamation mark. That's tacky. And then I'm gonna use google.com because I can't think of anything else right now. Okay, let's say ticketmaster.com. You would find your actual link of where the tickets are being sold if it's not on your personal website. If it isn't on your site, what do? You make sure it's in a different tab. Click apply. Okay, cool. I have my basic event set up. Let's set the date. The date is going to be New Year's Eve, tomorrow at 10 p.m. Maybe it's a concert. I'm playing a concert. I'm a band. And I'm going to add a category and I'm going to call it concerts, right? Because a band might have different events. You might have like PR events, you might have like a little gig, you might have like a merchandise event, you might have like a music video shoot, whatever you want to broadcast on your calendar. That's how you would do it. So let's add a couple more categories. Music video shoot. Or maybe you're recording a new album, right? Recording session. It's just a concert. So we're going to highlight just concert. And we're going to add a couple tags. New Year's Eve, creates the tag. What else do we want to tag? 2017, 2018, fun, party, that kind of stuff, right? Let's make comments on, and let's publish it. Let's publish it. I was gonna say let's schedule it for tomorrow, but like you wouldn't see it, so let's publish it right now. Cool. Options. The exact same thing as the blog post. Add a thumbnail image. Add my bio picture. Excerpt. This is an excerpt. Super important, right? Because you're on the page and you're seeing all these different dates. You want to have like a little excerpt below to show, okay, I see the title of this, but like I want to know a little bit more before I click it. Maybe there's a source URL, right? Ticketmaster.com for tickets. And there's definitely going to be a location, right? Where am I playing? I'm playing the Hollywood Bowl. Not pulling that up. It pulled it up on here, but not the address. I don't really know what the address is. Let's call it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Foothill Boulevard. That's not the address for Hollywood Bowl, but we'll say it is for now. And again, social, right? I want to announce this show, but I don't want to have to go to every single social media account to do it. I can do it straight from here. I'm going to do that. Imagine those are on, right? I'll turn on for now. And I'm going to say like, hey, new show. Get yo tickets. Bam. And then %Q, right? Because that makes the URL that goes straight to that link. nicorocarocks.squarespace.com/blog post. But it's going to actually pull it up as the name of the show, event number 1. Let's call it New Year's Eve concert. Cool. All right, we're going to click save. And there it is. Doesn't look that good because I haven't styled it or set the ratio of the image. But it shows you have an image, you have the date right up here, you have the title, and it's showing right here concerts, right? That's that category, the thing that people always skip over, which is so useful because I'm going to scroll down and I want to see more concerts from this band. So I click that and it'll filter everything that's tagged as concerts or categorized as concerts. All right, I want to view the event. To view the event. Here's that lorem ipsum that I put in there and that tickets button. Click the tickets button, brings me to ticketmaster.com. Easy peasy. Then you can see like these tags. I've tagged it in New Year's Eve in 2017. So maybe I want to see all the concerts in 2017, all the concerts in 2018, etc. Those are different than categories and tags. So that's events. Yeah, let's it's so easy to duplicate this stuff now. Let me show you how to do that. Just click duplicate, duplicate, and it makes a copy of that New Year's Eve concert. So let's call it beach concert. That'd be cool. Right? I still have this whole thing set up with my tickets. It's a different link though, right? So I'm gonna change my link, ticketmaster.com/beach concert. Yeah, right. Mm, And then, oh, by the way, you can change the size of these buttons, right? And you can style them. So I can have a small button, a medium button, and a large button. And then I can align it left, center, or right. Let's keep it there. You probably want to change the thumbnail image. So let's change it to this one, right? Probably change this, right? Different show. Maybe it's a concert. So then look, it pulls over the tags and the categories as well. So you got to make sure that you update these, right? So this is actually a concert and a music video shoot at the same time. That'd be really cool. And we're going to publish it. Ready to go. Let's press save. Go back to the events. This is the events page, right? So we have the New Year's Eve concert and the beach concert. Why didn't the image pull up? Because I clicked save before the whole thing loaded. Um, here, here's real quick how you want to change it from a list view, right? It's a list where I have oh, it did pull up. Cool. So I have the first show here and then the second show here, but I want to show it as a calendar. So I'm going to show it like this. I'm going to click the gear icon in the top left corner. I'm going to scroll down and instead of on the default event view, instead of list, I'm going to show calendar and watch what happens. It pulls up as an actual calendar, which is really cool, right? And then I see, oh, on December 31st, there's two different shows. It's because I didn't change the date. There's beach concert at 10 p.m. and New Year's Eve concert at 10 p.m. Let me change the date really quick on this so that it shows you. I can show you what it looks like when it's just one event per date. Let's change this to January 5th, 2018. All right, cool. So we're gonna go back to all events. And okay, look at that. So my first event is January 31st. I hover over it and it shows me New Year's Eve concert. I click it and it goes to that show. Back to all events. Brings up the calendar. I can scroll through months just like this. I would only recommend doing this if you're really busy. If you're not, then it looks like I'm doing nothing the entire month of February. All right. So Friday, January 5th, I have another gig. I'm going to click that and it brings up beach concert. Pretty cool. I click that and it's going to bring up a broken link. Could not find beach concert. Bummer. Cool. So that is how you create an event calendar and how you add new dates to it and how you duplicate it. Once that date passes, it's going to save the event. So check this out. Let's say that the beach concert was in the past. Let's say that that was yesterday. The time of this recording is the 30th. Let's say it was the Friday the 29th. Watch this. Click save, refresh, and there we go. So I have upcoming events here. New Year's Eve concert tomorrow, and past events, beach concert, which was yesterday. And so it's not going to delete them, it's going to save them here. And you can actually show your users your past events if you'd like. Some people choose to only show upcoming events, but if you want to show some past gigs you've done and some past events that you've been to, then you can do that like this. I think it'll automatically show it. Let's just check if I change this back to a list view. There we go. List, save, and there we go. We got New Year's Eve concert and nothing else. So I guess the default is to not show it, but I could show it if I'd like. So yeah, so that's how you create event calendars, and it's obviously the exact same thing as creating a blog. All right, so I promised that I would show you how to make this stuff look good. Let's do that. So we have it all there. You have all your content. It just doesn't look that good yet. How do you design it if you're not a designer and you don't know code? It's quite easy actually. So from pages, you click design, and this brings up a bunch of different features here. You have logo and title. So I can upload my personal logo. I can upload a favicon. Favicons are this little thing right here in the browser window. When you don't add something, it's just a black block, which is Squarespace's go-to. So that's how I can tell as a web designer, like whether it's professionally designed or not, is if this thing's up there. So don't forget the details. That's what I like to nail down is like a good website has all the details covered, right? You haven't skipped anything and it's all there. Back to the design. We have the template. Okay, so the template, this is the template I'm using, Hunter. A lot of people say, I remember Albert asked me one time, hey, how do you see what template I'm using in Squarespace, right? I designed it for him and he wanted to see which one it was. You go to design, you go to template, and then it pulls up this template. I can install a new template. Watch this. I mentioned this earlier that I wanted to show you how to switch templates. So I go to the template store here and I want to change it to this cool looking yoga one. It installed it. Now it's here. I'm previewing it, or sorry, I'm still live on here. Maybe I want to preview what my site would look like under this template. Let's check it out. So here's my Nicaraguan site with this new template. It brings in all the old, or all the all the stock demo content, and it pushes my old content. You can see here. Pushes my demo content to not linked, right? It's still there, but the new template's going to override and add that new navigation up here. So what I learned from Squarespace from their, they put a video out and they showed that you can do like different designs for different seasons, right? So I want to do a design for fall, or I want to do a design for spring. I can make different versions of the site, and I'm still editing this while the other one's live. So you can see when I go to template that the Hunter is live, but I'm just previewing this. And when I make edits to this, it's going to save it. Maybe I'm going to go, if I hit set as live template, then it's going to override the whole thing. And this is what's going to be live. If I hit cancel preview, this is still there. And all the changes that I made to that template are still there, but this is what's live. So I can take my time and I can have this live while I work on a new version of my site, which is what I did. I had my old version of my site, if anyone ever saw it, and I was working on this version in the back end by creating a new template and uh, and working on that in the meantime. And then when I was ready to go, I just hit preview and I hit set as live template. I could always go back if I wanted to the old one, but the old one sucked, so I'm not going to do that. All right, cool. Let's cancel the preview. Here's the big boy, style editor. Click style editor. When I want to change anything on my site, I click style editor. So from here, you can see that it brings up a different view. So I have on the left-hand side, I have all these different styles that I can edit. There's a lot there and it's gonna be hard to find what you're looking for. So say if I wanna change my site title, right? What I do is I hover over the site title. It'll show that blue box around it. and I click it, it brings up all the things that are affecting that element itself. So I want to change the font, right? So I click font, it brings up the font panel. I want to change it from Proxima Nova to, let's do something fun. This is a cool one. Amatic, right? I want to change the size. It dynamically resizes, shows you what it looks like. And again, WYSIWYG editor. What I'm editing on the side here is exactly what you're going to see on your computer for the most part. Letter spacing, line height, text transform. I want to do lowercase. The lowercase to uppercase is not very different on this font. Different fonts have different features. Like some have italic, some have bold. You can change the weight on some of them, right? I'm going to go to Proxima Nova again because it has a ton of different styles. And also search for a font. There's 600 fonts. There's over 600 fonts in Squarespace that are connected from Adobe Typekit and Google Fonts, which are the top two that designers actually use in the real world. So you can actually add your own fonts from Typekit. You can add your own fonts custom on the side. That's a whole other thing. But you pretty much have everything you need built into Squarespace with 600 fonts. Again, I can set the italicis, or I can italicize it, change the size. All right, let's just make it look like this. I think this is what my other one looks like. Cool. All right, well, how do I reorder it? How do I put this one over to the left, or the site title to the left? Well, I'm going to click the whole thing that affects this, which is the header. So I click the header, and then I'm going to go branding position, top left. Moves it over to the left, right? What is it? Maybe I don't know what this is. Okay, I'm going to click it. There it is. It's the primary navigation. I'm going to go top right. That moves it over to the top right. What about this guy? This is all crammed up because that's the secondary navigation. I'm going to hide that because I don't need it. What else can I do? I'm going to add my shopping cart. Throw that in the top right, right? Adds it here. It made it as text. I want to change it to a cart. There it is. I can change the color of that cart to something. I like this color. Something like that, right? I can change the actual color of the cart, right? You see in the top right corner how it's dynamically changing. So that's why designers love Squarespace, because we can design while we look at it. And it's super simple, right? I want to change the font of my navigation. I'm using one called John Doe. Is this weird typewriter looking thing? I don't know. I love it. Lowercase. Cool. How about the color of that? Well, that's right here. I think I have mine set to my top navigation set to like black. It's like a grayish black. I have my name set to white. And I have these set to different colors. So it's like an off-white, I think. Just like right here. And then what I can do is I can set the like the active color. Like whatever page I'm on, I can change the color of that. And if I don't know where it's at, then I type in active or navigation style. There it is. Change that to active. And I'm going to change my active color to red or blue or whatever. This thing down here, this changes the transparency of the object. So you can see when I bump this up, that you can see the color a lot. But if I change the transparency of the object, it's going to start to disappear and take the color behind it. Cool. That looks terrible. So I'll change that to a white. So you can see like when I like that active look because you see the other items here and then you can see which one is active and it helps the user like see where they're at in the navigation. All right. It's getting pretty close. Oh, okay. I got to disable that icon. I want to change that color back to white. There we go. And you can even change like the width of it. There it is, icons, medium, heavy, hairline, which is tiny. And yeah, I can change it from a cart to a bag to the alternative cart or the alternative bag. I'll go with the good old cart. Sweet. Now that what is this? Remember what this is? It's H1, heading 1. I click it and it brings up heading 1. I'm going to go to here. I think I have that as Proxima Nova as well. Pretty straightforward, clean font, easy to manipulate. I'm going to bump the size of that up and I'm going to lower the font weight. And we can start to see that it's starting to shape up like the actual page. You can change, like if you want to overlay on this, again, this is that parallax. If I change that to no parallax, you see that the picture is fixed, right? It doesn't move at all. But if I change enable parallax, that makes it so that the text and the image move differently. I like it like that. Smart crop, it'll crop your image to what it thinks looks good. And then overlay color. I can set that overlay to let's do like this funky maroon, and you can change the transparency of it as well. So that's a cool way to, add like depth to your pictures and your navigation, or to your page in general. I'm gonna take that overlay out. All right, cool. If you do have something that you can't fix in Squarespace's style editor, people say, "Well, I don't like Squarespace because it's limited in what you can change." That's not completely true because you can change anything on Squarespace. You can edit any of this because it's a website, and with a website, it all has elements that are uh, changeable, whatever that word is. So that comes from the custom CSS. This is definitely an advanced topic. I wouldn't recommend it for beginners because it'll drive you crazy. But for those advanced people out there that want to fix something that you can't really figure out in Squarespace, the way to do it is through the custom CSS. All you have to do is find something that you want to change. Like I know this is a P tag, I think. It's into coding. Again, don't worry about this. Yeah, this changed because it's a P tag. I'm changing the font size. So all you have to do is target what you want to change and then create the custom styles in here. Sometimes since it's a CSS cascading style sheet, you need to add that important on it. That's a good trick. That's not recommended though that you'd use too many of those. This gets into advanced coding topics, basic coding topics, but advanced to the new user. I could talk about that more later on, right? Use dev tools. If you're still with me and you're a designer, a good way to find, you're like, well, how do I find this or like the social media blocks, right? I go to a new window with the actual thing, not with the content management system. It's like the actual website. I go Option Command J in Chrome, and it brings up Chrome Dev Tools. I go Shift Command C. And then when I hover over a certain element of the website, it shows me what is affecting that, right? I want this social media block. I want this whole thing. So that brings up the HTML on the left and the CSS on the right. And I can see that this is this part right here. See when I change that? Watch this. If I was to change this, and DevTools is so sick. It's like you can change anything in DevTools and it'll change any website. Like it doesn't change it to the user, but to you, you can see what is affecting that. So if I want to change that left, there it goes left. That right, there it goes right. Center, right? I can change any of those styles just like that. What is this? Oh, hover over it. It's an H3. And it brings up those H3 styles. What does it look like with font size 50 pix? Pretty big. Anyways, you do it in there. And then what I do is I take like, again, say if I'm fixing this social media block, I grab that style, copy it, go back to my custom CSS, paste it in there. There we go. And you can see it live dynamically. Pretty cool stuff. Maybe over the heads of a couple of you that don't care about this, but I'll get back going. Okay. I'm pretty much done. I think I've wrapped it up. I definitely talked a lot more than I wanted to, and I'm sure that you've listened longer than you wanted to. If you're still around, I appreciate it. Um, um, Last thing I want to show you is just launching it. So here's how you do it. So I'm ready to launch my site, right? Let's go to upgrade now. You can do it either down here by clicking upgrade now, or if you don't have that button, you can go to settings, billing and account, billing, and then upgrade your plan. You're going to have your site for 2 weeks, and then you're going to, and they're going to launch it. These prices reflect my 20% discount. Okay. So this is normally, I think 12 a month, and this is normally 16 a month. This is normally 26 a month. This is normally 40 a month. So with my boldly fine discount, you can get 20% off for your first year. Comes with a domain name. So what you would do is you would click upgrade your plan. You would choose the plan that's right for you. Click select, go through all the information, and so on and so forth. I'm not going to do that now because I don't need another site. But what it'll do, it'll bring up the domains. And so with your hosting for the first year, it's going to come with a free domain name, and you can choose what that is. So it's going to pull that up. Let me show you how to do that from the back end though. You go to settings, website, domains, get a domain. Real quick, Squarespace builds in a domain for you. So I can change this to be something not random like that. Just be like Nick Arocco at squarespace.com or nickarocco.squarespace.com. It's not going to let me do that because I've done it before. Nick Arocco rocks at squarespace.com. Right. So you can use that that custom temporary domain. I wouldn't recommend it because I don't think it's super professional. But yeah, let's go to settings, website, domains, get a domain. And then I'm going to type it in. What do I want? I want to do, I'm going to do like, let's try Nicaragua Rocks. NicaraguaRocks.com or Nicaragua.rocks. .rocks is a thing now. That's ridiculous. And you can see all the, so Squarespace offers domain services as well. You can buy a domain just by itself on Squarespace without buying hosting. They're $20 flat for the entire year, and they come with domain privacy. You will not find a better deal out there. You might say, oh, well, again, GoDaddy does $2.99 a month. It's like, yeah, but you got to buy 5 years up front, and it doesn't come with domain privacy, which is $7.99. So just do yourself a favor and buy it on Squarespace, because you're probably going to end up hosting on Squarespace anyways, because you saw how badass it is. And it's going to be easier to link it. Like connecting third-party domains, like doing this stuff, use a domain I own nickarocco.com. Ironically enough, I actually have this name hosted through GoDaddy because I let it go, and then GoDaddy held it hostage, and I had to buy it for like $600. It sucked. So don't do that. Buy your domain name now. Keep it in your pocket. They're $20 a year. It's nothing when it comes to like a website. And then connect it later. But if it's bought in Squarespace, it's a lot easier. You can also see those top level domains like nicarocco.design. Go check it out. See what kind of domains you have in it. It'll recommend a bunch of different ones, and you can see like load more. Squarespace is cool because you can filter the dot whatever the not com names by different categories. And they're coming out with more and more every week. So it's hard to keep track of what they still have. But I mean, they have everything. It's like .design, .space, .me, .art, .online, .org, etc. Site. But say if you launch it and you want to share it with people, but it's not ready yet. Here's the last thing I'm going to show you how to do. Create a cover page. So I'm going to go down here under not linked. You click the plus icon, click cover page, and it brings up the new cover page, home. I'm going to call it home. And they have all these preset, really good looking layouts, right? You can do one that's like a full banner image with text over the top. You can do one that's like a full banner with a block of text over a square. You can do one with that's like a picture on the right with text on the left. You can do one with text on the right, but the full banner. There's so many. So just pick one that you like, that you think will work with the content you have, and roll with it. This one's cool because it pulls your Twitter feed. This one's cool for bands. You can put an audio on that. And again, you can filter it too. So you can filter it from like audio, video, right? If you're a filmmaker, do the video one, and then you have a play icon. You can play something from Vimeo or YouTube. Let's just pick a basic one. Let's do this. All right, we picked it. We're gonna go back, change the branding and text. We'll change it to coming soon. I'll change it to, I think what I put on mine was like getting some beauty sleep. It'll automatically dynamically resize to make it look good right away, right? And go like back soon. Save that. You can add a logo if you want, right? But my name is Nick Aroko. Save it. And we're going to change the media, right? Let's change this background image. I'll change it to the exact one that I had as my cover page. I think I have that. There it is. There we go. And then you can change this action to be a button. So a lot of people do it like one of my clients, Doug McIntyre. We have like a cover page as his home page, a picture of him, and then like a welcome button. So you can either click like the different things he does, which brings you to a different portion of the website, a button that brings you to the main page, or his social media. So we click that, and then that goes to his website. So you can do that from here. You just create a button, or you can do a form. Like if you're not ready for people to jump into your site yet, delete that, add a form, be like, contact me. You edit the form. It's already set up to a contact form. You can call it contact Nick. Storage, I'm going to send it to my email. I can even set it to a Google Drive if I wanted a spreadsheet of all my contacts. Oh, I didn't connect it. Bam. There we go. Save it. There we go. Automatically has my social media because I already connected that earlier. And if I wanted to change the layout, it's super easy to do that. If you want to change the style, you click Style. And then that's where you would go to town, like we were doing before, right? So we have that created. Now, how do we make that as the homepage? Because right now this is the homepage, right? The index that we made earlier. I want to click the gear icon next to the cover page. I want to scroll down and I want to click set as homepage. Confirm. That's now my homepage. So I think I set this to like Nicarocco rocks.squarespace.com as a temporary domain. So this is what I do for my clients when I'm building their site on the back end. I make a custom temporary domain and I send that to them. Only we know about it. So that's why we can check it out and they don't have to worry about their audience seeing it. So let's go to an incognito window, Shift Command N, which basically sees you as a new person. It doesn't have any past browsing history. So I can type in Nick Aroko rocks at Squarespace.com. Com. Let's say trial website. Okay, cool. Am I the owner? No, I just want to check it out. Visitor access. Type in the code that they prompt you with. View the website. There it is, right? I set that as my homepage. There's no way to see the other pages because there's nothing to click on except for contact me and the social media, which goes to here, right? Pretty cool. And then if I'm like, all right, I'm ready to launch this, this is how you do it. You just go to your current homepage that you want to be your homepage, click confirm. I'm going to reorder this because it's going to drive me crazy. Typical websites should have like welcome or home first. Then you should have your about. Then you should have maybe your blog, your events, your products, your store. Let's call it store. Oops. Store events. Careful with that URL slug though, remember. And there it is. I have my navigation. It's ready to go. That's my actual homepage now. So if I go back to my incognito window, Command tilde, Command R to refresh. Right? Pretty cool. And that's it.